in the
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. It won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride. If I have plans, you need to borrow more. No one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. Just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on.
I so listen, you're careful now. Well, some 20 more minutes, 8 o'clock is what time it is. From the Cities of Love 99.5. Thanks very much for staying with us. And that was music by Michael Bolting. And it's music titled Lean on Me. And in these times, if I don't have you to lean on and you don't have me to lean on, then who can we count on? And in the coming weeks, you'll be hearing more from Michael Bolting as we get closer to Christmas. He has a lot of beautiful Christmas songs, and we'll be sharing all that with you here on Love 99.5. Meanwhile, on Friday, a shooting incident at Infante at Tepa saw 2 people being killed with 3 more, injured. Now, the narrative, as we had it yesterday, was that some forestry staff in the company of some security person shot at miners without provocation. That was the information we had as at yesterday. They shot at these miners, killed 2, injured 3 or more without being provocated. Now, the site in question is meant for a community mining, so it was baffling to the miners as to why the security did what they did on Friday afternoon. Now, yesterday we decided to send our reporter to go on the grounds to ascertain for us what really transpired and see if he will bring to us any different narrative or any different story as to what pertained on Friday. His name is Emmanuel Bride Kweku. He took a trip to the town yesterday. He's back with a lot of information. Now, talking about information, if you join us on Facebook right now on LUV 99.5, you get to see for yourself and hear for yourself things that he was able to put together by way of reports and stuff like that. But before I even, engage with him this morning, take a listen to, this news desk report put together by Emmanuel Bride Kweku, who's already with me in the Cities of Love 99.5.
A saddened mother, a sister left in excruciating pain. Wails continue to emanate from the home of Abdul Samed Razak, 35, and Hashmil Usman, 25, after the 2 were allegedly shot dead by security task force of the Forestry Commission at a mining site. The family is in pain. You've killed a human like animal. The 2 were protecting a mining site at Infante, a suburb in the Ahafuano North municipality, when a security task force besieged them in a swoop. They shot severally, but he survived them. So they surrounded him and hit his neck with the buttstock of their gun. The other was shot from behind through his skull. We are scared because they might come back. Back at Pokukrum, there is seeming tension as families of the deceased and the youth threaten to avenge the killing.
Justice.
After burying them, we demand justice within 4 days. If it doesn't happen soon, we will retaliate. He left behind 5 children. Who is going to take care of them? If the laws are working, it must work for us too. Else, Forestry Commission officers will not operate in this constituency. Officers of the Forestry Division in the area are under lock and key following the threats. Meanwhile, the Ashanti Regional Police Command is probing circumstances leading to the gun attack and consequent death of the two. For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
So that was a report put together by Emmanuel Bright Kweku. And if you're wondering, what he was able to pick aside from what you've heard so far, all you need to do is to stay with us. Now, like I said, we are on Facebook on LUV 99.5 FM. Now, again, ask yourself. We have had situations where trigger-happy security persons have either killed people or injured them. And I said, during my introduction this morning, that I have a juror on my mind. And a juror's incident happened on June 28, 2021, where we had about 4 people being killed. And if you remember vividly, we had military men who were in a position as if they were at war, shooting into a crowd of demonstrators. That happened at at a juror in 2021. I also have at the back of my mind the 7 Aswanse suspected armed robbers who were also killed. Later came out to be that they were not even armed robbers. But what we learned at the time was that they were suspected armed robbers. When they were shot by security persons or by the police, weapons were put by their sides to stipulate that they were armed robbers. Aside from that, we cannot even talk about the Ayawaso West Wogon by elections where shooting took place. So I ask myself, what do you make of trigger-happy security persons who at the least opportunity will shoot to kill or shoot to injure people? In the case of this thing that happened at Infante, at Tepa, we are told that they were not provoked. We were told that there were about 80 security persons together with some forestry staff who were there and did what they did. Now, as I said yesterday, we had a conversation with the MP for the area. We spoke to the president of the Community Mining Association. We spoke to the sister of the deceased. Emmanuel Bright Kweku, we wanted to ascertain for ourselves what really happened. So you took a trip, to Infante in the north, municipality of Asante. What was the mood like when you got there?
All right, so when I got to the community, I first started off from Pokukrum, where the deceased family were. So I moved on to Infante to ascertain what really happened. So I moved to the mining site, and then when I got to the mining site, they showed me where the thing really happened. I met some few people, a gentleman and then one of the miners, who took me there to where the whole thing happened, where the body was lying. So when you get there, you can see some stains of blood on a stick and even some of the stones around. They tell me some people came around. I think officials came for the stones and the others. But when you get into the town, interestingly, what I found was that it's a mining community. So when you get along the stretch, you would find, if I should put it, a makeshift structure where these miners wash the debris or the residue they get from the mining site, and then they wash it and then extract the gold out of it. So we're speaking to some of them to find out what was really happening. They tell me they were a bit scared. Yes. That's what they've been telling me.
Currently, they are scared.
They are scared that
they're living in fear.
Because they tell me this is actually the first time. They haven't seen anything as this before. It was actually the first time something like that had happened. So they were scared that they might come back again.
Okay. Before we talk about, whether indeed the place is designated to be a community mining and all that, Yesterday we were informed by the sister of the two, Samed and Hashmil, that they'll be buried yesterday.
Yeah.
Has that taken place?
Yes, it happened.
How did it go?
It happened yesterday. So yesterday when we got to the house, they were waiting for the body to arrive because it was at the Tepa, a municipal hospital. So they were trying to clear, doing some clearance before they give the body to the family. So I think a pathologist came there, and then the divisional commander for the area was also around to ensure that they give the body to the family. So in the morning when I got there around 11:45 a.m. When I got there, it hadn't arrived. So we spoke to the family and then quickly rushed to the hospital. So around, I think, 1:30 to 2, thereabouts, they picked the body from the morgue to the family. So that's when they went to bury them, but had to leave them to go to the other side. So they buried them in, there was a cemetery in the community, so that's where they buried the two bodies.
How did the process go? I mean, how smooth was it, or would you say along the line there were a bit of chaos there? How did it go?
Well, in the community itself, they are really pained because they even tell me they would retaliate. You heard
that's
right?
that's what's on their lips.
It's on their lips that even if it's going to take them 20 years, and then if they don't get justice, they are definitely going to avenge the death of the two. So during the burial service, I would say, the normal procedure for they are Muslims,
burial,
Muslim burial. So crying, and then some of them were pain actually, like they had it on their lips that they are just going to avenge the death, like they just hope justice will be served.
Yesterday,
so that was really
yesterday I know that when we spoke to the MP, he made mention of the fact that there was going to be a series of meetings.
Okay.
Opinion leaders were going to meet on the matter, try to see if there could be some inquiry into what really transpired and all that. Did you meet any such persons? Was there any such meeting ongoing aside from the burial that took place, smoothly?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
No.
So let's go back to the Pokukrom,
okay,
where the incident really happened.
That's Infante.
Infante, where the incident really happened. Now, we're told that it's a community mining site.
Yeah.
When you got there, would you say that indeed is a community mining site, or there were some activities like Galamsey going on? What did you find?
Okay, so when I got there, I saw this, I would say, banner that had the president's photo, and then the Minister for Lands, the Sector Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, stating that Infante Community Mining Scheme. But when you get to the mining site, what I observed was that the arrow directing to the mining site was quite different from the path leading to where the incident happened. But when I actually spoke with the miners over there, I had wanted to understand why the arrow was pointing to the other side, but the incident happened, and they told me that they told them that it was part of the community mining scheme.
When is it they? Who's they?
I think they were saying the authorities, the local authorities in the area told them it was part of the community mining scheme.
Okay.
So it's something that they are permitted to do.
Okay.
That's according to the miners over there. Because I didn't understand why, if the arrow is pointing to another direction, why should we have a mining of a sort happening in the other enclave? So they told me the mine or the concession spans over 1,000 acres. That's what they told me. So definitely that land is also part of the mining scheme.
So if it's a community mining, concession, who owns the mining concession?
Okay, so
who's doing business there? I just want to appreciate that.
Okay, so the name I saw on the poster was Enso Group of Companies. That's what I saw. I don't know the person who is there, but I saw the name of the company as Enso Group of Companies as being.
So is it one company that is mining there? Because when we spoke to the sister yesterday, what she said to us was that somebody contracted her brothers to go watch over equipment for him.
Yeah.
So is it to say that there are people who are doing their own mining, small mining, there's some small scale mining also under the community mining, or there's one big company or firm that is doing this?
Because I also wanted to understand, because I asked them who was the owner for that particular site, and they told me, the miners, some told me they don't really know who was in charge, but they know the other side is for Enso Group of Companies, and then they even told me that person hasn't been on the site for quite some time.
So for the other side that they were working, not the one under the Enso, but the other side, who was mining there? The indigents?
Yeah, it was the indigents because
okay.
they tell me when normally on a day when you come there, you should find like thousands of them there.
Are they doing community mining or galamsey?
But you can't really put it as community because that's what, according to them, they told me that they've been told that it's part of the concession as a community mining scheme.
So
that's
on that fateful Friday, what triggered security persons, the military, like I had in that report you put together, to shoot and kill two, Hashmil and Samed, 35, Samed, Hashmil 25. What prompted the security persons to shoot? Because in that report that you put together, I could hear somebody say that Samed was shot from behind.
Okay.
So what brought about the provocation for the shooting to take place?
Okay, so from the narration the guy gave, he told me one of them, the deceased, was praying when the task force came.
Praying?
He was praying.
Okay.
So after his prayers, I think they were burning the machines, the excavators, the earth moving
the security
equipment.
Yes, the forestry staff. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And so he asked them why they were burning it. And then, according to them, the task force drew a line for them not to cross to the other side. So the guy also stated that one of they have, I think, committee, that's what they call them, committee chairman and what have you, because of the sharks that they have. So a lot of, so one of the committee chairman rose the hand, and then, but one of the deceased or the security person who is dead now, decided to cross the line.
When you say security person, you're talking about Hashmil or Samed?
The two were providing security for the area.
Yeah, for the machine. I mean, the sister said it yesterday.
Yeah.
So which of them crossed the line?
So from them, they couldn't really identify who this person was.
But he crossed the line anyway.
He crossed the line
And when
anyway.
he was crossing the line, was he armed or anything?
According to them, he wasn't armed.
But he crossed the line.
He crossed the line and they were shooting. And they realized, according to the guy, they realized the bullet wasn't penetrating the guy. Officer. So there's a perception that he had some magical powers.
Some fortification.
Yes, fortification. So he was still going. So I think they said they shot him severally, but it wasn't working. It wasn't penetrating. So they had to come and surround him and then hit his neck with
the butt of the gun.
The butt of the gun.
Wow.
And then he fell on the ground. And then whilst he was trying to get up again, they shot him.
Wow.
That's according to...
That's the narration you got yesterday.
Yes, that's the narration I got.
When the security persons got to the site, they drew a line.
Yes, for them not to cross.
And asked no miner to cross the line.
Yeah.
And whilst they had drawn the line, they were then at the time burning excavators and shangfangs.
Yeah.
Now this guy was praying at the time. Stopped praying and wanted to approach them.
Yeah.
And he was warned not to cross the line, but crossed the line anyway.
Yeah.
And then when he had crossed the line, he was being shot at.
Yeah.
The bullet was not penetrating.
Yes.
And he kept walking towards them, unarmed.
Unarmed.
And so,
were they missing the target or the bullet?
Because I asked them whether they were firing sporadically, but he told me no. It was just
aimed
on
at
targets.
him,
yes.
And they shot at him. So it wasn't working.
Yes.
And then they were able to stop shooting at the point, surrounded him.
Yeah.
Did not even attempt to arrest him, restrain him, but hit him with the butt of the gun and he fell. And then while he fell on the ground, they shot him again.
Yeah.
This is cold blood murder.
So that's for the other
side
guy.
of the story.
And then the other security person too, according to the guy, he said he was wielding a machete. So he said one of the forestry commissioners signaled his men, and then they surrounded him, or they went behind him. There's a cocoa farm. So they used that path and then came behind him and shot him through the skull. So it from the neck, and then it penetrated out of.
Like the sister said yesterday, one of them was shot from behind.
Yeah.
You can see the exit wound on the floor.
One was shot from behind, and this one, the first one, he was hit with the butt of the gun, fell down, was shot. So this is to say that if this story is true, they wanted to kill him or kill them straight up. That's what it is. Wow. Now, did you try to get the side of the story from the Forestry Commission? The Forestry Office, was it open? Were they working? Did you try to get their side of the story?
Okay, so when we left Infante, it was around 6. So we went to the Forestry Commission at Mankran. So I think that's the head, the divisional head. Yeah. When we got there, I caught up with one of the security guards over there. He was at post at Den. So I spoke with him and asked whether they did work today. He told me that today nobody worked. they locked the office
From morning till evening.
From morning
they
till
didn't work. The first
yes.
office
yes.
at Mankranso did not work.
Did not work because normally he told me in the evening you should find some officers around. But when I went to check the office, it was locked. Nobody was really.
Nobody was
around.
there.
Yes, nobody.
Nobody at all was there.
Maybe somebody was inside because I saw a light inside, but it was locked. The gates were locked.
When I spoke to the original, director for the Forestry Commission on Sunday, he mentioned to me that the report he had was that one of the miners attempted to disarm one of the security persons. That is what resulted in the shooting of these young men. Did you get any such thing? That the one with the machete, did he try to disarm a security person? Did any such thing happen?
Well, according to the direction they gave me, no, they didn't tell me anything that's
like that.
I asked them whether they were with arms, and they said no.
No.
I asked them,
right.
But the machete, but maybe, but.
Bright, stay with me a while longer. I've got Dr. Jones Opokuari with me on the phone lines. He's a friend of the show, and when it comes to security matters in the Ashanti region, of course, in Ghana at large, he's a fine brain for it. Doc, good morning to you, and thanks very much for your time this morning. Dr. Jones, good morning to you. Let's work on the connection to Jones and then have him join us for that conversation. Because listen, if you listen carefully to what Bright is narrating to us, if indeed that is what happened, what it means is that these young men were killed in cold blood. That's exactly what happened yesterday. So question is, what do you make of trigger-happy security persons who at the least opportunity would shoot people? And I've already mentioned to you a few of the incidents that has happened. And we will say alleged under the circumstances. Dr. Jones Opokuari, good morning to you.
The voice is very far. I can't hear you.
Yeah, Doc, can you hear me? Doc, can you hear me?
David, good morning.
Good morning to you, and thanks very much for your time. I'm happy that you can hear me this morning. So, on Friday evening, getting into Saturday morning, we heard about this shooting incident at Infante at Tepa, where 2 young men have been shot. Now, I'm sure that you have heard, what happened. But just to add to what you might have heard, we sent one of our reporters, his name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku, to go to the place for us yesterday. The report he's come in with this morning is that some security persons and some forestry staff, they went to this Infante community mining site. They drew a line on the ground and asked the miners not to cross that line. One of the deceased, Samet, whom at the time was spraying, stopped spraying and crossed the line that had been drawn, and caution had been given for no one to cross that line. Now, when he had crossed the line and was walking towards the security persons without arm, he was not armed. They were shooting at him. We were told that they were shooting directly at him. The bullet was not hitting him for him to, go to ground. So they surrounded him, hit him with the butt of the gun, and when he fell, they shot him in cold blood. That is a narration our reporter has brought from Infante. Now, the other gentleman who also died, we're told that he took a machete, also wanted to go towards the security persons. There was a cocoa shed, we're told. The security persons went behind the cocoa shed, shot him from behind his head. He also fell. So, from this narration, and from what you have heard so far, what do you make of the incidents of Infante at Tepa on Friday?
All right. Thank you so much, David. Very good morning to you and also to your listeners and viewers. I must express my sincere condolence to the family of those who lost 2 brothers. And I think it's something that we need to condemn. But I am not surprised because time and again we've already talked about the potential of the Galamsey activities, turning into a security challenge for all of us as a country. And now, if you look at what has been happening over the period, and as I talk to you, I will try to chronicle some of the cases which have happened in these areas for you to know that there is no peculiarity in terms of what has happened in Tepa and what the trend has been so far in terms of how this Galamsey activity is becoming a security challenge for us as a country. If you look at the narration, and if I should actually go by what the narration is, what it means is a clear and deliberate attempt to basically murder these two gentlemen, okay, irrespective of what kind of crime supposedly these people were committing on the side. Because these were unarmed citizens, these were people who were not armed in any way. And once people are not armed, you have to always find a way as a security person to de-escalate the situation and make the situation, more calm for everybody, so that we can actually achieve what we want to achieve as security personnel. If you look at the narration and all the circumstances that surround it, it tells me that people were motivated to go and do what they went to do, irrespective of what supposed crime those people on the field were committing.
Under the circumstances, again, based on the report we have shared with you, allegedly all that happened, what should have been the appropriate way of handling the situation?
Okay, so you had probably intelligence that something is going on in the mining side. And now, probably the intelligence might have told you that these people were armed. If you went there and they were not armed, there is actually no reason for you to exert such kind of maximum force on them. What you have to do is that once you went there and you realize these people were not armed, you've given a red line. You have to engage them. Okay, you have to have a very manual engagement in terms of trying to get the people to stop whatever they are doing, especially when they are not armed. You only employ minimum force to de-escalate the situation when these people are armed. And now the direction tells us that these people were not armed. They were people who were on the mining side, probably working. You went to meet them, and the state you met them didn't require the use of that kind of force. Even if you have marked the line and somebody tries to cross, probably all that you needed to do was to keep on engaging the person until you are able to get these people under your custody and then move them to wherever you have to move them to. You are not supposed to shoot them. You are not supposed to kill them. And I think that is where the problem is, because there are so many trigger-happy security people that we have in this country, which I think is also something that we have to work on, with the security agencies, because there are so many situations that do not require the deployment of firearms. But then we normally will see our people deploying these firearms and then causing so much casualty. And this is a clear case of discretion that has gone so wrong, especially in terms of protecting lives and property.
Well, I'm happy, Dr. Jones, that you used the word or the phrase trigger happy, because I also captured it in my intro. And what baffles me is the fact that if indeed it is true that one of the miners, the security person manning the equipment or the machines, was hit with the butt of the gun and he fell, I don't see why he had to be shot.
Exactly, because once you are able to hit the person with the back, you have actually subdued the person. Okay, so once the person is subdued, you have total control as a security person who is armed. So all that you need to do is to now bundle the person probably into your vehicle under some cuffs and then move the person to wherever you want to move the person to. No. There is no need. The situation, based on the narration, never calls for the discharge of firearms to even result in somebody losing his or her life. And I think that those people who went in to do that must actually be brought to face the full rigors of the law. Because if we don't get hold of this kind of practice that has crept into the security agency, where the first line of action is to deploy firearms, even when the situation has not escalated to the deployment of firearms, we are going to have a security setup that is so trigger happy, that is so happy maiming and killing people, and we are going to have a very serious case on our hand. That means that you and I, none of us will be safe, especially when there are situations that we have to, involve the security personnel. This, I think, is wrong.
I'm happy the way you've painted the picture, and that's the same picture that has been on my mind and on my lips. And Dr. Jones, not to bring back bad memories for some family members. You and I know what happened at Ijura, where a protest or a demonstration saw military officers shooting directly into the crowd, killing 4 and injuring several people.
Exactly.
We also know that this Asawasi 7, who were alleged to be suspected armed robbers, were shot and killed. Later, it came out to be that they were not armed robbers. Compensation was given. We also know what happened at Ayawaso West Wogon by election. And Dr. Jones, I can go on and on and on and on.
Exactly.
What does it say of the security person or personnel we have in this country?
Yes, it actually casts them in a very bad image. And I think that in a democracy and in a service that is supposed, to protect life and property, I've already told you that when it comes to security, they should operate with 2 levels or 2 principles of being guardians and also being warriors. The warriors come in where the situation requires them, to use maximum force. But now, once we don't have that situation, there is no need for you to discharge your arm. Okay, and so if you look at the patterns over the period, and I'm very happy you have been able to recollect some of the incidents which we've recorded over the period. And the sad thing is that many of these cases, we don't really seem to get to punish people who actually exercise that level of indiscretion by shooting and taking people's lives. Look, for me, compensation is really nothing. People must be held to account, because I've told you over the period that until we remove that, reciprocal obligation, that cloak, that protects certain, security individuals, from facing the law when they commit such acts, we will keep on having them. Because you see, what happens is that they immediately run under the cloak of the security agency, and then they are protected. So the state will now have to cough up compensation and give it to them. We must begin to exercise, some form of discretion, and we must begin to now hold specific individuals in security agencies who commit such kind of heinous crimes to the full rigors of the laws, because we must interrogate their discretion in the discharge of their arms. Okay, it is only when we do that and hold them specifically for their action, because this one, when we put them before the court, we can actually interrogate whether there was the need for them to even discharge the firearms in the first place. To kill 2 people, not even 1, when these people were unarmed, and when everything suggested that you had the power to subdue these people, without even the discharge of firearms. If you don't do that and hold them individually liable for such indiscretion, a lot of these security agencies and the individuals in there will think that they can kill people and then have their way without the law coming after them. And that is very pathetic. No developed and civil, institution should be allowed to operate in that manner.
But Dr. Jones, in as much as I agree that these are precious lives that have been taken, and under some circumstances, these are innocent lives that have been taken. Question is, we've had quite a number of inquiries into some of these killings.
Yes.
How come the inquiries and the outcomes have not really helped?
Yes, because I've told you that many of these inquiries, people actually operate under the cloak of the security agency they are working. Okay, so, immediately the action happens. Immediately we constitute some form of internal inquiry. So instead of putting the person before the criminal and the civil processes, we say, let's form, the police have their own form of, inquiry that they have to do. The military, for instance, will have their own form of internal inquiry to do. Most of the time, what they will say is that let's interdict the person or let's provide compensation. And I have information that there are so many people who have actually committed such kind of crimes within the security agencies, and they are still serving in the agency. Okay, so at the end, if we should operate with this kind of mindset, if you operate with these kind of procedures and processes, I am telling you, we will only keep having such scenarios year on year, because all that you need to do is to do some of these things and then run back to your agency, and the agency will bring its umbrella to protect you. And that is the problem that we are facing as a people, looking at the way some of our security agencies operate.
And unfortunately, it can happen to you. It can happen to me.
That is the point. None of us is safe. Okay, none of us is safe because we have had situations where even we have police people shooting into demonstrators and gouging the eyes of people, and at the end we don't even know who shot that gun. Okay, so it's a very bad. I think we have cases of some of your journalists who were attacked even in demonstrations by security persons. And as now, the police and these security agents, they don't even know those people who attacked them, even though they were attacked by the police.
Even some of them are even mere students, senior high school students, who are demonstrating, and rubber bullets plus live bullets were used.
Fired.
And in this situation, this scenario that took place at Infante in Tepa, the youth there are saying that no matter what it takes, if they don't get justice, they will retaliate. Knowing how fluid this thing is, what should be done?
I think that the authorities must move in quickly, go into the community, go to the family, and begin engaging them. Okay, we must assuage all the the plight and the groanings of the people, of the community, of the family. We must reassure them that justice will be served, and it will be served much faster than it used to be. It is only when the people are given the justice that they crave for that peace will come and a will be actually. You understand? So we must take this very serious, because you see, I always tell people that when it comes to murders, whether it is committed by civilian or by security agency or security people, murder is the ultimate crime. And once a murder is occasioned, the state must deploy all its resources, to be able to solve those murder cases and bring the perpetrators to book and find justice for the victims and their families. If we don't do that like the way we've been doing in this country, where people get killed and we think that that kind of attitude, which informs our lethargic attitude towards solving murders, look, a lot of people will continue to suffer this kind of fate. And I'm sorry, I don't want to be a prophet of doom this morning, but based on what I see and the kind of information I have and analysis I do, it doesn't portend very well for the country going forward, going into the future, if proper reforms and proper processes are not established to deal with such kind of acts by the security people. I have to say, and I appreciate the work they do, okay, because I work with them. I know the constraints they work in. I also want to say that some Ghanaians are very, very recalcitrant. But that is why you are a security agency. You must have the psychological, power and ability to de-escalate situation, no matter how intransigent certain people are or can be. That is what makes you different from the civilian. And if you don't have that kind of temperament, I'm telling you, you have no business being in the security agency.
But
you have no business protecting lives and property.
For example, when you say that these are lives that have been lost, and the state ought to do something about it, it's up until recently that we decriminalized, suicide, because not too long ago, even if I attempt to take my own life, it was seen as a criminal, action, and I'll be dealt with. I'll be put in prison. It was not until a few months ago that it was decriminalized. So I ask myself, is the state really protecting the lives as it should? Now, Doc, tell me this. Initially, when I was preparing for the conversation, one question that I had in mind was, does the kind of weapon they use on the ground, assault weapon, play a role in the killings? Because if you, for example, have a sidearm, maybe you can aim at somebody's, leg or somebody's hand and fire, instead of the MI16s and the AK-47s that they use. But in this narration we got from Emmanuel Bright Kweku this morning, the person was hit allegedly by security persons with the butt of the gun, so he fell. So whether you have a pistol or you have an AK-47, if you want to kill, you will kill. So with the body cams, we've talked about the body cams for some time now.
Yeah.
Will that help in any way for us to be able to identify directly what happened and who shot at who?
Yeah, because you see, we've talked about body cams over the period, and some of us have, advocated for that. It is because of these kind of scenarios and circumstances that we always advocate for such things, so that at least it can help us understand the whole situation that really happened. Sometimes it then becomes an account of one against the other and one against them. So there's always the truth your truth is truth, and then there is always the truth in the middle. Okay, and now these cams, body cams help because they are able to help us to understand the scenario and whatever happened. But look, have you asked ourselves why is it becoming so difficult for our security agencies to adopt those kind of techniques in crime policing? They are doing that. Probably one, maybe the resources not there. But then I suspect the main reason is that a lot of our people don't want us to see what actually happens when certain things happen the way they do. Because in that case, they are able to cover up. And in that case, they are able to massage the truth and then get away with it. That is my suspicion, basically. Because I think that a country like this country as we have it, like Ghana, if getting body counts for our security agencies is not something beyond the reach of this country. It is something that the authorities can invest in if they really want to protect lives and property. Okay, so for me, this is what I think about. And this is what I suspect is the reason why such accoutrements are not being procured for the police. Even if it is brought, am I to think that the police and the security agencies are also not comfortable using them because they want to cover up some of their actions? I don't want to believe so. But I suspect this could also be a reason. So I'm thinking that going forward, the approach we have to use in solving some of these cases is multifaceted. First, we have to engage in the prevention, approach. We have to find ways to prevent such issues from even happening in the first place. Even when they happen, then we have to go into what we call the pursuit. Okay, where we go in to now follow up to get to the bottom of the issue and pursue the perpetrators and bring them to justice. So this is something, an approach that I think we have to follow as a country if we really want to deal with this kind of issue. And now when we're talking about firearms days, I think that in this country there's also so much population of firearms in the country. And I think it is something that the country will have to really look at. Because, look at this. You know that between 2017 and 2019, the Anti-Galamsey Task Force arrested over 2,200 illegal miners and retrieved varied weapons and ammunition. And Dave, listen to this. Out of these arrests, over 101 different weapons and 2,347 ammunition from Galamsey site alone were retrieved from Eastern, Western, and Ashanti regions. And now, if you look at the composition of these weapons, it included from action guns, 10 guns, hunting guns, foreign and locally manufactured pistols, single barrel guns, as well as shotguns. Now the question is, where did people get all this from? And can you imagine, out of this number of guns and ammunition that were seized, it was only 2 that were found to have been registered. Is it not strange? Is it not something that as a country we should worry about?
So what comes to mind right now, based on what you've said? I mean, the small arms in the possession of people out there that are not registered. Out of the lot you mentioned, only 2 are registered. We are entering 2024 with high stakes in an upcoming elections. Now, if we're going to have trigger-happy security persons and small arms in the possession of people, what should we be doing to ensure that we have a peaceful election?
Look, this is the time that all of us as a country, we have to sit up and begin taking hold of the security, especially what goes on within the mining side. Look, I'm working on a project with some partners from the European, area on Galamsey area. And trust me, if I tell you what is happening within those areas, and I don't know how to even put it, how some criminal elements have teamed up with some illegal miners, even to aid, some terrorists to even come into some of these guns because they think that those places have a lot of guns and then they can control resources. It will marvel you. So if all these kind of criminal elements are supposed to be recruited during the election to police some parties and their activities, what do you think is going to happen to the country? It means that the country will have to brace itself for a showdown, if I have to put it that way. And apologies to Honorable Kennedy. Okay, so we have a serious issue on our hand as a country. we are dealing with so much security challenges, especially with individuals having so much guns in their hands, guns that they are not supposed to have, and probably parading them within Galamsey side. And remember, Galamsey areas have very interesting election dynamics. Going by 2016 and even 2020 election results. So it is very key. These areas are very key, especially in ensuring that those weapons and ammunition that have found themselves into those areas don't, filter into the mainstream society where people can easily have them and then use them to perpetrate their agenda, especially during election time. It is something we have to get up and work on.
Doc, my last question before you take leave of us, because I know you have some other engagements. Again, looking at the upcoming elections and the fact that we have small arms in the possession of people and all that, how can we convince people to surrender or to release these guns so we destroy them so they don't have it in their possessions anymore? Can we do that?
I think over the years we've tried a certain approach of giving rewards and compensations to people who voluntarily arm themselves and or are in possession of illicit arms and weapons, and then giving them some kind of rewards and compensation. That approach is okay, but the point is that, has it really worked? Okay, so my point is that if it has not worked, do we have a system to track weapons that are especially imported and made locally? Because look, Dave, every weapon that is imported in the country can be tracked and can be serialized. Okay, what we are not able to do are those that manufacture the locally made ones. And we know them, we know where they are. And in fact, there is a history to how these local weapons are made. And I think some time ago when I was in your studio, I had wanted to talk about it, but I have to restrain myself. There is a history to that. So we know those people who do that. What I'm suggesting is that we must begin profiling those people that are into the manufacturing of local pistols and local arms, and probably find a way to regularize and serialize the guns they make, so that when we are able to find these guys, we can actually trace it to them and then take action on them. If we don't do that and we just allow them to operate behind, closed doors as they are doing, we will keep on having these guns in our midst, and that is going to be a problem. It's going to be a security challenge for us.
Dr. Jones Opoku-Ware, thanks very much, sir, for your time this morning. I know that you're out of town. When you get into town, let's have some more conversations, because, Charlie, the situation as we find ourselves in right now is not something we should toy with. We need to
Definitely.
We need to talk about it, keep talking about it till we get some solutions to it.
Thank you so much, Dave.
Meanwhile, happy birthday to Reni Nehemiah B. Dawuni. You are of Matters of Uganda Preparatory School. You're in class 4. It's from your daddy and your mommy. So one more time, Nehemiah B. Dawuni Reni, happy birthday to you. All right, and you're in class 4. So how old is the child? Like getting on to 8, 9, 10,
yeah,
thereabout.
8 years.
So I've been at 7, in your class 8. All right, but I can't being or class 4. All right, so let's pick a few phone calls. 03220 83596. 83597, 83598. You've heard Brett Kweku's, narration as to what he picked up when he went on the grounds. Unfortunately, we're still not having responses from the forestry commissioners and all that. So you can call us. The fact that Bright says they drew a line, asked somebody to cross the line. Somebody was trying to cross the line. He was being shot at. Then he was surrounded, hit with the butt of the gun. You heard the narration. Let's hear you. Call us 03220-83596, 03220-83597, 03220-83598. Let's pick a few calls. But let's go on to our WhatsApp console as well. Okay, so let's start picking calls right now. Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Yes,
King David.
Yes, boss. What's your name, sir?
Yeah, this is Richard Askoromampong.
Good to have you, sir. Let's hear you, boss.
Yes, listening to the narration, I believe that the security personnel are trained in such a way that, they should have been able to arrest these people without any difficulty. So, for them to shoot them like that, I think it's just deliberate. And I don't know why they will behave that way. In this country, we don't value human life. Because in other places, even animals, you can't shoot them like that. It's so sad. So please, and earlier you were talking about leadership. I asked myself, what is leadership? We vote for people to take care of certain things, and the way they do their things, it doesn't show their leaders. So it's about time. I mean, sometimes our leaders' behavior makes it look as if even education is useless because the school they go to, the things they learn. I mean, we don't see the benefit of it. It's so sad that in this country things are going the way they are going.
Richard, thanks very much for coming through. George, good morning. Hello, George.
Hello, good morning, Dave. How are you?
I am well, George. Thanks for asking. Let's hear you, sir.
Thank you, David. David, the man was talking about so many guns at the Galamsey site. David, have you ever heard that an ordinary security have shut, the government security at the Galamsey site? David, our security agencies, who we are paid for them to protect us, are rather killing us. Look at what happened. There's 167, a whole police commander came and then put the calls at the central police station and said they were, armed robbers. That police commander is still at work. If he is to be an European country, he has failed. He could have been fired. And all those who perpetrated that crime, David, nothing is going to come out of this. They kill us and they come and compensate us. David, it's unacceptable. Do the security think that they can fight this country? If you all rise against them, they can't stand it. They are to protect us, not to be killing us. Thank you, David.
Well, thank you very much, Erasmus. George, for calling. Erasmus is on the line. And I remember not too long ago, I think 2 weeks ago, Commander Don Chebe was shot by some miners. So if you're asking that question, George, as to any minor shooting some security task force person, yes, Don Chebe was shot 2 weeks ago and he was taken to the 37 military hospital for treatment. Erasmus, good morning. Welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Dave.
No, come here.
Yeah, Dave, sometimes when you hear stories of this nature, what kind of security men are we training in this country? Are they people who are called into the service as professionals or what? Most of these people are people who are recruited by parties opponents, and they go in with the intention of doing things to please the parties in power. What is wrong? You see, once a security man overpowers a person, I don't see the need of shooting. Again, from the story, I read that story yesterday, and I was asking so many questions. If those people are really professionals, why the shooting again? Because the person is already down. And I don't think these people should be let go just like that. Because
that is what everybody is saying. We pray that something will really come out of this. Thanks very much, Erasmus. Kofi Bedu is on. Hi, Kofi. Good morning.
Hi, Dave. How are you?
I'm good, Kofi. Let's hear you in 30 seconds, please.
Dave, I'm so curious for your narration. And here is where my curiosity is. Those providing security for the forestry, I want to know whether they are police or they are military or they are just these forestry commission security guys. I want to believe they are just forestry commission security guys, because if they are armed forces, I don't think this unnecessary death would have occurred. And also, you see, these forestry guys have drew a line, don't cross. And you are crossing with that arm. How would you protect yourself? You are just facing, crossing. How forward is it? With that arm? No, let us not encourage this. Don't cross because you are not armed. If you are armed and you can face them off, that's it. But you are not armed. That's what you are saying, that you are not armed, you are just facing them. No, let us not encourage those. This is the way forward. I want to say that those who are providing security for this mining, I don't think this is Galamsey. Mining areas, the head, the bosses should give them necessary protection, necessary arms in order for them also to protect themselves. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Our final caller is Nana Kweku. Nana, we also have some 30 seconds. Please, let's hear you. Good morning.
In fact, I would say we are a bunch of hypocrites. And wherever my brother Kweku is, let me be crying. Because he belongs to the media house that we've all been fighting for against Galamsey. And who retired Chief Justice acts with the might of the nation, we can't even fight Galamsey. He was baffled at this because in times of war, if it develops that we go to fight this Galamsey, there will be casualty of war. People are hiding behind this community mining, perpetuating evil. At the Obama Forest, that someone was there. Could have just disguised, and just disguised it was a community mine, but we were all enraged because he was engaging in mining in the forest. And then we are sitting down, people dead, and we are now changing the narrative to be that they are dead. So what they are doing was to be right. If they were engaging in mining, and then we are saying Galamsey, and they are all the Galamsey illegal mining. And they are engaging in the forest where we are all protecting that the forest should be protected, and then even our water bodies and everything should be protected. And we are saying people are dead. So now the narrative is not changed that what they are doing is right. I'm sorry. In fact, this shouldn't be happening because we are fighting Galamsey. Will in every way. Don't go to Galamsey mine. Don't go and move. It will be community mine and whatever it is. Don't engage in it. If you are shot, you are shot. And this is we are fighting it, and we are going to fight it tooth and nail. If you get dead, you die, and then just go. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nana Kweku, for your thoughts as well. But have at the back of your mind, there's Galamsey site. There's a community mining site that is legal. And that's why I asked Bright Kweku whether they were doing anything illegal. That is to say, if they were doing Galamsey. He said he didn't say any such thing. I mean, he's right here with me in the studios of Love 99.5. Now, we appreciate the work our brother does. But when lives are taken under circumstances that are suspicious, that is where our concern is. And again, if the person is even, let's say, into Galamsey, and what we have been told this morning is that he was hit with the butt of the gun. Why didn't we arrest the person? Why kill the person? But there's more to it, and when we gather them, we'll share with you. Thanks very much for your time. Now, we'll be crossing over to Joy 99.7 in a bit. When we do cross over, the conversation is going to be on outages. Where are we right now with our electricity power and all? Stay tuned for that conversation that comes your way shortly.
Great. So I'm sure you may have listened to, those who called in this morning, talking about the number of times they've experienced, outages this week, over the last week, in the course of last month and this month. And for them, they say this has become a regular thing. They ask the simple question: what is happening to our power supply? Are we back to a load shedding, and yet we are not telling them?
Well, I can assure you and all your listeners that we are not back to load shedding. Okay, indeed, listening to your program this morning was pretty refreshing. That today we've become used to, and rightfully so, deservedly, to consistent power supply, such that even a few hours of outage generates public outcry. As opposed to the periods where we actually encountered power outages for 4 years. Okay, clearly we made progress. As to whether it's a perfect system, no. But we got to the point where Ghanaians are getting what they deserve, and when there's a shortfall or there's a disruption, then of course you can hear the outcry. But clearly, we are not back to do so. As you yourself indicated during your program, essentially 3 or 4 levels in the value chain. Okay, there's the fuel component, there's the generation component, there's the transmission, and of course there's the distribution into our homes. The fuel today is mainly gas, which is produced from the West, and what we buy from Nigeria through a West African gas pipeline, which then transports gas from Nigeria into Tepa, and then also the excess in the West. Because remember, Ben made the point earlier as well, that we have huge volumes of gas coming in from Sankofa, and then also some from Jubilee. Sankofa is on take-or-pay, about 210 million, 235 million cars per day today, and then about 100 coming from Jubilee. All that cannot be consumed in the West. And so we have an arrangement with the West African gas pipeline to do a reverse load from Takrady to Tema. So that's one aspect. And then there's the generation, which is mainly the IPPs who have invested in the power sector and are generating the power for us. That you indicate we have excess, which is in fact the case. And so it is not a question of a generational deficit that has caused any outages. In fact, even throughout the 2012 period, when we slept in darkness for 4 years, I mean, the data that I've seen clearly demonstrates that there was no shortage of generation. Okay, and of course, the Greco bit, which then transmits to ECG for ECG to distribute to our homes. On Sunday, there was some unanticipated outage. What had happened was that WAPCO had written to the ministry seeking a no objection to do a tie-in with a facility that Central Refinery has built and was looking to procure gas to power things. So they wrote to us. We at the ministry then submitted their request to Gridco to give us an impact analysis. Gridco came back and said that the outage that they had requested between 4 a.m. dawn to 4 p.m. was going to lead to a deficit of about 350 megawatts. And so we went through some discussions and requested them to make available alternative liquid to power the plant during that period, which they did. They procured HFO and also contracted DRA to run a second plant at KTPS on diesel. And so that arrangement was put in place such that between the hours of 4 a.m. and 4 p.m., which was the scheduled outage period, we still had electricity being produced. However, the work, I'm told, delayed by about an hour, hour and a half.